Hello and welcome back to ZK1 Plays. I'm so glad that you've joined me today. Today we're going to be looking at this brand new, amazing Pokemon they revealed called Mega Malamar. And let me just tell you, from looking at it myself, it is an incredible design. This is probably my favorite one that we've seen so far, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. The only downside being its typing, which I imagine is going to stay the same, but we'll get to that in a minute. As we get started, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe. I'm a smaller YouTuber. I'm trying to get started here, so help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thanks so much for doing so. And now let's get right into this information about Mega Malamar. First up, I think it would be helpful if we look at its ability, okay? Malamar is a Pokemon that definitely relies on its ability. Base form Malamar's ability is, of course, Contrary. If you're not familiar with this ability, it's super simple. It's basically every stat change has an opposite effect. So instead of buffing your attack 2 stages by using a Swords Dance, it would instead decrease your attack by 2 stages if you were to use the move Swords Dance. Now, on the first, kind of off the cuff, you might think, okay, that's really bad, actually. But the reason it's not is because Malamar also, here's Malamar, gets access to this crazy move called Superpower, right? Now, Superpower, what Superpower does is, of course, when you attack with Superpower, deals damage but lowers the attack and defense by 1 stage. Well, lowering your attack and defense, it actually raises them 1 stage if you have the ability Contrary. Now, it's an interesting but very unique kind of strategy that Malamar has whenever you use Malamar in its base form. So all that being said, I think that Contrary is definitely going to still be usable and useful on base Malamar. But in terms of Mega Malamar, option number 1 for its ability, for me, would be Contrary, for it to stick with Contrary as its base ability. If it didn't stick with Contrary, then it's going to radically change up the way you play this Pokemon. So, for instance, if you are running Superpower on your base form Malamar, and then all of a sudden you Mega Evolve and you do not have Contrary anymore, well, Superpower is no longer the, busted move that it was beforehand. And so, keeping Contrary is one way that I could see this Pokemon going. Dazzling is another ability that I've considered, and the reason I thought of Dazzling is because it has to do with the brilliant and just kind of, capturing, look of this Pokemon with the hypnotism and all of the lights and stuff coming with its new design. Dazzling would really fit thematically. And Dazzling itself is a very good ability, making the Pokemon and its partners immune to high priority moves, all right? And so this makes it really, really strong in double battles as well. A third option that I thought of for this Pokemon is the ability Simple. Now, right off the bat, you may go, okay, that seems crazy, but here's the reason. Simple would be so cool. The reason Simple would be so good with Mega Malamar is because of its interaction with Malamar's signature move, Topsy-Turvy. So the way that Simple works is that it doubles every single stat drop and raise that you receive. And so the reason, again, this would work so well, if you were running, say, Superpower and dropping your stats, instead of dropping them 1 stage, it would be dropping them 2 stages. But with a use of the move Topsy-Turvy, the double stages would be flipped, right? And so now you would be +2/+2 instead of -2/-2. Another good example here would be having the ability Simple would allow it to receive all kinds of stat drops, whether it be Sticky Webs or Intimidate, or it could even be Charm or something like that, or a partner Pokemon that is using Charm on you. But as you receive all of these negative stat buffs, it's going to be hitting you for double the amount. So just for instance, if you receive a Intimidate, and then your partner Pokemon tickles you, which does negative attack and negative defense, all of a sudden you would be at -4 attack, -2 defense, and then Mega Malamar uses Topsy-Turvy. With this setup, it would have +4 attack and +2 defense. Now, that's just one little example, but there's plenty of other examples, and Simple, I love the way that it interacts with Topsy-Turvy, and it could be a really fun ability for Mega Malamar. One option that I noticed in my research, but I do not think that they would give to this Pokemon is the ability Sharpness. The reason is because Mega Malamar is most likely going to be an attack-focused, attack stat-focused, physical, Dark and Psychic type. Well, Dark and Psychic have two incredible moves in Psycho Cut and Night Slash that are boosted by Sharpness. And so Sharpness would just give a straight damage boost to this Pokemon. Now, again, I think they're going for something maybe a little bit more middle of the road with Mega Malamar. Not just damage-based, but maybe playing into its theme of topsy-turvy and contrary a little bit. So that's why I'm not sure about this ability, but this could be an option. However, the most likely scenario I see for this Pokemon, Mega Malamar, is that they are going to probably give it a brand new ability. We saw this a lot with the original Mega Evolutions, that they were often inventing new abilities for them, and I'm kind of sensing that's what's coming with Mega Malamar. Here's the reason: it just is so new and unique in its new form. I don't see how it can just stick with Contrary. I don't see how it can just take a existing ability, because again, like the bright lights and the hypnotic kind of emphasis in the design, I think it's got to be something new, most likely. All right, now let's get into its stats. They're coming on the screen here now. You can see base Malamar's stats are just not great, right? He's got the 92 attack stat being his highest. He also has just kind of middling bulk, middling speed, not great special attack, which as a Dark and Psychic type, special attack would serve it really well. But its special attack is so low that you really don't want to use it at all. Okay, so what are we going to do for its mega stats? Here's the distribution that I came up with. Honestly, I'm not sure what you could do with it. I'm sensing there will definitely be an increase to the attack, possibly a slight increase to the speed. The reason for that being that it's becoming so much thinner as Mega Malamar. And then in addition to that as well, I think the bulk has to see a little bit of increase if they want this Pokemon to even be relevant into the future. That's kind of what has held it back before, is that it just cannot take a hit. And here's something interesting as well, in case you have forgotten. Regular base form Malamar has no resistances. It does have an immunity to Psychic, but 0 resistances is a really difficult stat to get over, right? Because part of the benefit of Pokemon being good is to be able to switch into an attack and be able to hit back way harder than you were hit. The only way that can happen with Malamar is if you switch into, a Psychic team, like a Expanding Force user or something like that, or even the move Psychic, right? Other than that, Malamar really can't switch into hits very well at all. And it has the 4 times weakness to Bug, which of course is basically a death sentence. Even catching a stray U-turn knocks Malamar out immediately. So with this stat spread, Malamar would definitely be able to do some of the same shenanigans it's done before. Do some contrary superpowers, or use its new ability to set up a little bit and be able to hit relatively hard. But also, with this increased bulk a little bit, it would be able to function as a support Pokemon as well. I'm imagining that as a Dark Psychic type and Malamar's base moveset, it's probably going to be able to affect the battlefield as a support mon, using things like screens, reflect, light screen, or even things such as baton pass or gravity. With a little bit of increased bulk, Mega Malamar would be able to handle that supportive role just a little bit better as well. And now the final part of the video, the part that many of you have probably clicked on this for, the revealed shiny forms of Mega Malamar. Mega Malamar was a hard one to kind of recolor here, as you can see, because it has the iridescent kind of rainbowy look to its center portion of its abdomen, right? And then also the rest of it is very, it gives neon light kind of look to it. And so changing the color on those, obviously, it's not just the same as changing a sprite, right? Because these things are dynamic and they're going to shift. But the things that I want to focus on, and the one there in the top right that I think is the most likely for us to get, is going to be the golden kind of look to Malamar. If you're familiar with base Malamar or have ever shiny hunted him, you know that he kind of turns his body a little yellow and his tentacles a bright yellow mustard gold color. And so I'm expecting the hair, rather than being the kind of mad scientist purple look, to have more of a golden hue, gold yellow type of mad scientist look. I can't wait. I love this Pokemon's design, and I think I've said that already, but it's just tremendous, and I think it looks like a comic book villain. Somebody told me that it looks like Megamind. I think that is definitely fitting. So I cannot wait to get my hands on this Pokemon. It's going to be so fun to have on your team. But for this and for everything else, please stay tuned to Ziki1 Plays. I can't wait for you to join me back in another video. Thank you for watching, and peace out.